I used to be an adventurer like you, and I took an arrow in the knee.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 1 of the brand new Gaming Respawn podcast. I'm your host, Don Richards. I'm joined today by Ian McGee.
Hello.
And Alec Hawley.
Hello.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Good. Not too bad.
Excellent, good. That's what I like to hear. Now, Ian, we need to address the elephant in the room, I think. People will be probably thinking, is that Dominic from the old Couchcast? And it is.
I'm sure that's what people are thinking.
Our 12 fans are probably thinking, that's the same people on that podcast, and we're back.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah, so hello 12 people. Right, so we've got a lot to get through today, so let's jump straight in with some news. And Ian, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll go first. So Warner Brothers Interactive, they've just released a new update for Middle of Earth, Shadow of Mordor. It's called the Nemesis Forge.
Okay.
Did you guys play this at all?
I did. I didn't really like it very much.
Yeah, it's not really my sort of thing. I don't really care about Lord of the Rings, and the little I played, it felt like a reskinned Assassin's Creed to me, to the extent that I kind of found it slightly offensive. I'm a massive Assassin's Creed fan.
I played it a fair bit because I think it was the first game I got on my PS4. So, I think till they get the way we get next game came out, that was probably the one I played the most. It was alright. Like you said, it was very much a copycat of many other games.
Yeah.
I'd say the only thing it had obviously unique was the Nemesis system.
Yeah, I think I've read about it a lot more than I've played it.
Yeah, it's surprising that like you find most games nowadays when they have a new concept, it gets copied by every other game afterwards, and for some reason it seems the only thing that no other game's copied so far.
Maybe it's just not that easy to do.
Yeah. I mean, the concept was quite good. Also, you had almost mini bosses controlling different factions, and if you took out that orc, then that faction would decrease, and another one would take over. Or if he beat you in battle, then he would gain ranks and go higher and higher. So it's quite a cool little system. What this new update does is basically your main nemesis from that game would then be carried over to the new one, Shadow of War. So it's a good way of carrying it over. I mean, it's not one of those games where the story's going to carry over, but at least you get some part of your gameplay over to the new game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. I tried to play Shadow of Mordor, but I just thought it was too close to Assassin's Creed, and I don't like Assassin's Creed, so...
Yeah. But I think it's a good way of doing the update, I think, because it's a good way of getting people who maybe have played it to go back to play it again, people who haven't played it to play it, and it gets people excited for the new game when it comes out.
Yeah. I think I will try again, because I do love Lord of the Rings, and I want to love the game. And Lord of the Rings haven't really got a good history with video games.
No.
I can't think of many good ones.
Lego one was fun.
Yeah, Lego was good.
There was something years ago. I think it might have been PS3 that I played a bit. That was alright.
I think it was one of the PS2, which I think it was Two Towers.
Yeah, that was alright.
The movie tie-in game's good. I think, Alec, you're talking about the Third Age.
I think I was actually thinking about PS2. I think I was just...
PS2 one. Okay.
Inflating. But yeah, probably. I think it would have been one of the movie tie-in ones. Just before we go on, should we introduce ourselves at some point?
Oh yeah.
Well, we sort of did, but me and Ian don't need introductions because we're famous.
Yeah.
But
famous 12 people.
Yes, exactly. So in case those 12 people aren't listening, okay. So my name's Don Richards. I'm the content editor at Gaming Respawn. That's just a flashy title I gave myself to make myself sound important. I enjoy video games, Star Wars, and food. I think that about covers me. There's Ian McGee, who is a human slug.
Yep, that's one way to put it.
Yep. Go on, I'll let you to be. I'll be nice, Ian. You can say about yourself.
Oh, I'm Ian McGee. To be honest, I'm going to say the exact same thing as you, really. There's not much difference. I like games, I like Star Wars, I do like food. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll say it then. Ian is our podcast supremo, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. See, that's a nice title that's Alex given me, so...
Yeah.
Podcast Supremo.
Better than Human Slug, as you refer to it.
No. Nothing is better than Human Slug. And Alec, why don't you introduce yourself to the lovely people?
Well, I guess you turn up with computer games, films, and football are probably the main ones. Bit of wrestling as well, bit of various other things. And my self-published title is Chief Sub-Editor at Gaming Respawn, so find lots of time picking holes in people's articles, annoying them, that sort of stuff.
Yes. If you put a comma in the wrong place, Alec will tell you.
Yeah. If you put a comma in the wrong place in an instant message, I'll tell you.
He does. That is true. That's happened before. Cool. Lovely. Right. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I must admit, when they've announced the new one, like, as much as I did kind of like the first one, nothing got me going for the new one. But the reveal trailer they did at E3 got me a bit more excited with the whole, like, you take a whole army into, like, a fortress and you lead, like, an orc army into there. I thought it looked quite good.
Did you finish the game?
No. I was close to it, but I never finished it.
See, it's funny, I wasn't that impressed by what they showed at E3, but there was a bit that leaked from IGN, but a bit that IGN unveiled before, which was really impressive, which had you, like, riding dragons and stuff. Like, visually it looks stunning. I don't know, I just don't care about orcs and goblins and all that.
I think it is very much the same, like, just an open world action game, but if you like Lord of the Rings, you're going to get a little extra kick out of it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I prefer humans, so I play Assassin's Creed. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, it's something I might pick up, but I definitely do want to play Shadow of Mordor again, especially because it's like £4 at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it will kill an evening. Lovely. Anything else to add in, or was that it?
No, that was it, really.
That was it. Cool, lovely. And Alec, what have you got for us?
Well, I've been having a little look at the stuff that came out about WWE 2K18. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about what you guys thought about the last one, because I really wasn't impressed by it. I thought it got boring extremely quickly. And I don't know, with this new one, obviously they're promising visual upgrades, which I do think it's really, really lagging. Like, I think a good direct comparison is the last UFC game, which in most cases looks stunning, and everything felt like it had far more impact and far more closer to sort of what you see on TV in WWE, which honestly occasionally felt a bit last gen in terms of character models and textures and all those sorts of stuff that we kind of, the shiny bits that we like on PS4. It really does feel like it's lagging behind. So obviously, any steps they're making in that area is great. There's going to be improvements to commentary, which again is another bad area. Apparently they're trying to adopt at least the sort of NBA 2K dynamic commentary style, so hopefully we should get some good lines from, Byron. From Corey Graves at least. I don't know if having Byron, Saxton, and Michael Cole are really selling points on it, but I guess we have to toe the WWE line.
Yeah.
But in terms of the other stuff, they're continuing this big focus on my career, and I'm just worried they might be completely misunderstanding their fan base, because I feel like a lot of people want to play as the famous guys. Like, I can't remember, was it 2K15 that had like Road to WrestleMania and stuff, and they were some of my favourite parts, like kind of feeling like you were recreating and retelling these sort of classic moments, and it allowed it to feel a lot more cinematic and stuff. And I feel like the more they're edging towards this personalisation, the more they're getting away from that. And I don't know, there was just not much about it that really excited me. There's some stuff about greater freedom backstage and backstage brawls, and they've added 8-man tags, but overall I'm just still feeling a bit kind of underwhelmed by the series. And it certainly feels a long way from the kind of SmackDown glory days on PS2.
I think for me, I just got bored of wrestling completely as a product. I've not watched it for about a year now. Whenever Goldberg beat Brock Lesnar in 5 seconds, that's the last time I watched it. But yeah, you're right. I did play 2K17, and it was boring. And yeah, I really enjoyed the old showcase modes. So where you take a wrestler, you do the highlights of their career, and then you get those sort of cutscene-y gameplay moments. The best one was the Austin one. I thought that was really good. Yeah, because Jim Ross came back, didn't he, and provided commentary for that.
I think one thing what doesn't happen was obviously we had 2K15, which was the first jump onto the new generation, and it was all quite different compared to the previous one. And then the year before, it kind of improved on that a little bit, and now we're back to that just annualization of just the same game again with just slight tweaks. So yeah, I think 2 years ago it was big excitement because it was quite a big change, and then it's slowly just going dwindling down of what the actual changes are each year.
Yeah,
it really needs a kind of fundamental reboot, really a fundamental rethink, because it kind of needs to be built again from the ground up. It feels like it's so far behind sort of the sort of blue ribbon sports stars, if you like, the FIFAs, the NBA 2Ks, even the UFC, which I was very impressed with, the UFC game made by EA, the last one.
Yeah. But they won't, because I think they'll have to do a bit of an Assassin's Creed and take it off the shelf for a year or two. And there's no way WWE would let them do that.
I think the trouble with wrestling games, especially where they've been around for so long now, it's like you said, like UFC, NBA, all that stuff, because they're just competitive games where a lot of times something different can happen. With the wrestling game, it's just, you do what you pretty much you want to do. It's not, I wouldn't say I find them hard. Like, how often do you lose a match unless it's just because of the awkward pin system? So it's that competition thing. You're just doing it by yourself. Where at least with UFC, you've got that chance of just like randomization of knockout. So wrestling, that's why I think it just got a bit stale, because you're just doing the same matches and it's just however you want to do it. But there's only so much you can do in one match, really.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when they were more arcadey, they got less stale. Maybe it's just because you're not trying to attain this sort of realistic back and forth battle, which is kind of an awkward fit for wrestling anyway. Maybe like a more arcade style game where you're not worried about sort of stamina and that sort of stuff. I've always seemed like a much better fit for a WWE game, whereas they're going kind of steadily more down the sim route, and I feel like as it goes down that route, it gets more complex, it gets less accessible, and it gets less fun.
Yeah,
I think maybe one thing is just with the AI, like the more realistic you go, the AI has to act more realistic, and it just doesn't. Where it's Simmy, you kind of both do the same thing. Where if it's AI and you want it realistic, the AI's just got to keep up with that, and it just doesn't seem to. They just haven't got that gameplay mechanic towards it.
And nothing will ever beat WCW Backstage Assault, which is perhaps the greatest wrestling game of all time. Maybe, probably not.
People always say that in 64 and then No Mercy. Not like that.
Oh.
I'm a No Mercy guy.
Yeah, No Mercy is the greatest wrestling game of all time, and that is
mine would definitely be one of the SmackDown ones. I don't know which. Maybe perhaps one with the Rock on the front.
I think Here Comes the Pain was probably my favourite of the old incarnation of them, with Brock Lesnar on the front. So I'm pretty sure that had Hogan in it for the first time in like decades. So, and Ian knows I'm a little bit of a Hulk Hogan fan. So
just a little bit,
brother.
I think the thing they really need to get right is actually having the map move like realistically to impacts, because nothing looks like it has any impact at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
Like if there was actual sag and bounce and stuff, and then you could at least get that right before you start fiddling with all the other stuff.
And there was loads of moves in 2K17 that just didn't have any sound when they hit the mat.
Yeah,
because these really
such
vicious
basic stuff wrong.
Yeah, and
they're boasting about having the biggest roster ever again, but I mean, unless they actually like feel differently to play, I don't really care if there's 200 people on it. If it kind of feels like a reskin of about 20.
Yeah, and who really wants to play as Brutus fucking Beefcake Barb, whatever his name was, or some other obscure wrestler from the 80s? No one cares. Like, all the people they could be putting in that game, and they put like Brutus Beefcake and fucking who else was really stupid in it last year? Like the whole incarnation of Sergeant Slaughter's little thing when he was a villain. The Middle Eastern guys, I can't remember what they were called.
You're on your own here, Dom.
Like General something, didn't you? Do you know what I mean? When he was feuding with Hogan, and he sort of became a Middle Eastern sympathiser.
This is slightly before my time.
Okay.
The Attitude Era.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, they had them, and it's pointless. So, but it's good that they've finally got rid of Jerry Lawler, because he's been awful for years, even on the main product, let alone the games. And I really like Corey Graves.
He's definitely one of the best things about modern WWE. Although we're going to get really geeky now. He's not quite as good as he was when he was on NXT. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, but he gets Vince McMahon in his ear on the main product, doesn't he? NXT,
they're
he
very
had
much
freedom.
just having him play like a normal, like a very kind of stereotypical heel commentator role, whereas on NXT I think he had more freedom to kind of be himself, and as a result it felt more authentic.
But that's why NXT is generally better than the main product, because they haven't got Vince McMahon demanding that they do things the same way they've done it for the last 30 years. So,
I mean, there's other reasons as well. They don't have the same schedule, so they can go harder in matches.
Yeah. So yeah, 2K18 with brand new commentary and hopefully some new features.
I was going to say, have you guys seen about this? It's coming to the Switch and it's meant to be the full version as well.
Oh yeah, I did see it's coming, the full version.
Yeah, because I read it because I wasn't sure if it was coming out on PS3 and Xbox 360, but it's just new generation and it's meant to be the full version on Switch.
I mean, it's not going to be the full version graphically. It's not just not.
No.
No.
I think it'd be interesting to see.
I've heard the new FIFA actually plays quite well on Switch, so there is kind of hope that they can pull off a half decent port.
Yeah,
it's good to see third-party games coming to the Switch, but and it's good to see it's got the full features. It's not stripped back, but so the graphics won't. It won't be the same graphics because even like Rocket League, when that comes out, it's not on the same engine as that.
No. I feel like this is kind of the first go. Like everyone's kind of giving the Switch a chance, and they're kind of having one. They're certainly giving it a go, porting third parties, and then they'll kind of see how they do. And then I think that the kind of, to some extent, the reception of this for this initial wave and the sales of this initial wave of third parties is kind of going to determine its future as a system beyond, the home of Nintendo.
Yeah. Now I really want a Switch, but they're sold out everywhere down here. So Nintendo, if you're listening, send us a Switch.
I've got some at work.
You got some at work?
Yeah.
How much are they at work?
$279.99.
We'll be talking deals after this, Ian. We're talking mates rates after this show. Thank you very much.
I'll sort you out.
Lovely. £100 do you just say? Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. There we go. So 2K18 with brand new commentary and coming to the Switch. That'd be good. Right, I'm going to shock everyone, and I'm going to talk about Star Wars.
Dun dun dun.
I don't talk about it very much these days. So there's some news for the upcoming Battlefront 2, which is actually out on my birthday, so that's good. We've got all the hero characters listed. Some very clever people managed to find all the code when the closed alpha was a couple of weeks ago, and they found all the characters that you can be when you get the hero cards. And the big news is that the multiplayer beta will be started on the 4th of October if you've pre-ordered it. I imagine through PlayStation or Xbox Marketplace. I don't think you can play that if you pre-order it in game or anything.
I think we're offering pre-order codes if you pre-order it with us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. For everyone else, it'll be the 6th, and it'll run through to the 9th, where you can play what the EA guys showed at E3, the Battle of Theed. This takes place on the capital city of Naboo, where you could be either the clone troopers or the droids. But there's also a thing called Starfighter Assault. Now, EA haven't released much detail about it, but what they have said is that you'll get to pilot an assortment of famous and loved ships in an objective-based multi-stage battle. So that sounds very interesting. In terms of the heroes, so we've got returning characters, obviously, from Battlefront 1. We've got Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and the like. But the new characters are Darth Maul, General Grievous, Iden Versio, who is the main character from the story mode, so that'd be quite cool to play as her in multiplayer. And from the sequel trilogy, we've got Rey, Kylo Ren, and Captain Phasma. My only complaint is they've got the Battle of Theed, they've got Darth Maul. Where the fuck is Qui-Gon Jinn?
Maybe they're not coming soon.
I read your article. There were quite a lot of complaints.
There's quite a lot of complaints, but that's the main complaint. There's no Qui-Gon Jinn or Obi-Wan, but more so Qui-Gon Jinn. But yeah, hopefully, Ian, they will. Obviously, EA have announced that they are doing DLC for free, so you would think more heroes will be coming out. Hopefully, will be Mr. Jinn.
You think they need to hold back some big hitters to kind of sustain interest? Otherwise, if it's kind of a bunch of C-listers, no one's going to care that they're bringing out free updates, and that's not going to get people going back to it who maybe aren't regularly playing it.
That's very true, but there's impatient people like me who demand things the day they're released. So
I'd say the first one, they've done quite well pacing out the DLC for the first game, so they're literally just going to do the same thing, but obviously where it's free, I think they're getting a lot more interest this time.
Yeah.
But EA, they may have all their criticisms, but when they make on these online shooters like Battlefield, they do produce content constantly for 2-3 years, and they do retain a lot of players. So we can't give them any complaints for that.
And you're going to play it constantly, Dom, so you're not really the target audience for this sort of strategy.
No, yeah, I will be constantly on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've got 2 weeks off from work on my birthday, and 14 of those days will be spent playing Battlefront 2. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Ian, you'll be getting it, won't you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Surely.
Yeah, day one.
Day one, lovely. Alec, would that be a sort of game you'll be interested in?
I'm not massively big into online shooters. I'll probably give the beta a go, see what it's like, but I can't imagine me actually buying it. I've got kind of other priorities.
Yeah, not even the temptation of a story mode?
Well, that would be interesting if it's if it's longer than about 5 hours, it might be worth considering.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a shooter storyline. I don't think it's going to be much longer than 6 hours. But
for example, I'd still quite like to play Battlefield 1's story mode, but I know I wouldn't play it much online, so I'm waiting for it to get down to quid maybe.
I tried it, and then I was given a false impression from the first level. I really enjoyed the first level.
Yeah, the first level is this thing where it shifts between people as you die, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I've heard it isn't.
No, it goes on to be very stupid, over-the-top, Call of Duty-esque, Michael Bay nonsense. So it really, I didn't finish it. I think I got halfway through. I got extremely bored when I landed on top of a blimp. So I would just much rather have just random battles throughout World War One, and then just change characters until everyone dies. Lovely.
I've still got my fingers crossed for this new Call of Duty story mode. They're at least trying to do something with it. So hopefully, if they pull that off, that will be really cool.
Yeah, no, COD does look good. But I really enjoyed last year's COD. I thought
I didn't. I played. I think I got some free trial, and I got utterly bored by it.
Yeah, I think I've played about the first couple of missions, and I just could not get into it.
Sort of right up my street though, being able to sort of fly around the solar system and shoot people. So,
but the writing and the characters just seem terrible to me. Anyway, that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, well, it's never going to be deep, is it? It's Call of Duty, but
for example, I thought I should give COD a proper go, so I got Advanced Warfare, and it definitely has its flaws, but in terms of story and character and writing, I think it's a much better game.
Yeah.
In terms of a story mode. That's the one with the creepy CGI Kevin Spacey and the kind of futuristic military contractor rule.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that one. That was the first sort of switch, wasn't it, to modern or futuristic tech.
Yeah, but there was something behind it. There was at least part of the story it was trying to tell, and I never sensed that from the last one at all. I think that's a large part of what I kind of judge games on, maybe more than other people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Right, that's our news covered. Now, Ian, as it was your brilliant idea, why don't you tell the good people our topic for this evening?
So it's kind of obviously at the moment there'll be just Crash Bandicoot's just come out, which has been hugely successful and popular. And obviously Sony recently said that they're not interested in doing backwards capability. You know, they're more interested in they'd rather do remasters and remakes because they don't reckon that people are playing backwards compatible games. And a lot of people have said that's not true, but the reason I want to bring the subject up is because I recently bought Skate 3 for PS3 because I've been dying for a new Skate game for years, and EA just aren't putting it out. So I bought it, and I've literally played it for 10 minutes, and that's it. And I'm going to think maybe Sony's right. Maybe I would probably play Crash longer than I would maybe an older game now.
I think the stats show that people try backwards compatibility once and then don't really play it.
Yeah.
That's basically what happens.
I think it's a nice idea. It's a nice option to have, but Sony approves they don't need it because they're far beating Xbox with sales. So it's obviously not like a killing app that everyone wants and is obviously using all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say they don't have backwards compatibility, but they sort of do. You just got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. Crash is amazing. I reviewed it for the site. God, I'll give it 95. I think. Pretty sure it's 95. Yeah, 95.
Sounds right.
And no, it's brilliant. It's hard. I don't remember it being Dark Souls, but it is.
But I don't know if apparently it's harder because they render objects in a new way, and now they have round edges when they used to have square edges, so it's basically a lot easier to fall off stuff.
Yeah, basically, it's a guy from Reddit. Sorry, I don't know his name. He said they've used what they call a pill format for Crash Bandicoot sort of legs. So instead of having a flat base foot where you can land on an edge and sort of be okay, you've got a pill-shaped thing, so you can't.
Yeah.
And it does make sense because I was playing it today, and then I literally just sort of skirted on the edge and then fell off. But I know full well in the old Crash, I would have been alright.
Yeah.
And obviously they've announced Shadow of the Colossus is going to, they're rebuilding that from the ground up, and that's going to come out next year, I think.
Yeah. That'll be a popular one. I think that's the best way to go in terms of how good it is, and it will get players interested again. Because the problem with playing old games is you remember how much fun you had playing it. You don't necessarily remember
how bad they were, and how difficult.
Yeah. Like, prime example, Resident Evil 2. I look back on that. I think that's the best game of all time. I played it to death. But I guarantee if I play it now, I'll be like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah. Anything like Shadow of the Colossus, I've got the PS3 HD version, and it's so hard to play. It doesn't look great anymore, but I could renew one from the ground up. I'm definitely up for playing that one.
Yeah. So I think that's right. But the problem is, though, is that it's difficult because really Crash is the only one I could think of there's been an actual full proper remake of a classic.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean, obviously they tossed up the old Uncharted games with kind of pretty.
Oh, well, I wouldn't cut that. That's just a HD upgrade. I'm talking about from the ground up. They've rebuilt the whole game as opposed to just making it look a bit nicer.
I mean, I think we get a lot of like HD remasters and stuff like that. But obviously, it's only from one generation to the next. Where Crash obviously was on PlayStation 1 to now PS4, so there is that big gap between it, as opposed to like you said, like having Uncharted move up, or like even the Last of Us games like that.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure. I'm sure someone will tell me that I'm wrong. No, they remade a Japanese game last year. It came out in 1872. But I don't. None of them are going to be as good as Crash, I don't think. Or, well, no, none of them are going to be. Yeah, not as good as Crash, I don't think.
Crash, no, you're not going to get it with every PS1 game that came out. Sony aren't going to go remake them all. They're going to pick up the most popular franchises that have done well, and that will still work today.
Yeah. But there will come a time where that won't work. I mean, Shadow of the Colossus might completely bomb.
Yeah.
And then that might kill Sony's sort of want of doing that.
It's an interesting game for them to pick because I wouldn't say it's a widely well-known, like commercially well-known game in the first place, even for that generation.
No, and there's so many other things they could have picked up. I would have thought, especially from the PS2 era.
I think one advantage, obviously, where Microsoft really do, obviously now they're going to do original Xbox games as well, is that still, if you look at the graphics between that and the PlayStation 1, the Xbox ones, they're not going to be brilliant, but there's probably still more. Sorry, Xbox games are probably more playable than what watching a PlayStation 1 game version is.
Yeah, definitely. I think it came out a few years after the PS1, didn't it? It came out midway through the PS2's life, didn't it? Yeah. I've still got some of my old original Xbox games.
I don't even know what happened to my Xbox.
No, well, I'm not there, but it works with the Xbox 360, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think they should definitely increase their backwards compatibility list, though. And cheaper. Because Code Veronica X came out last month on the PS Store. So I was going, I'll download that. Even though I've got it right next to me on PS2, I thought, just for the ease of wanting to play it on the PS4, I want it all together. So I log on to the PS Store, and it was £12. Who pays £12 for a game that's over 15 years old?
Did you buy it?
No.
Oh, I was waiting for you to say yes then. You are that person.
No, I'm quite weak-minded with things like that, but no, I was strong in.
But if they rebuilt it, like you said, like Crash, and they've redone it so they fixed gameplay features, so it's like to do with modern games now. Would you pay full price for it?
Well, to be fair, Crash wasn't full price. Crash retailed.
True, yeah.
What was it, like 30 quid?
$27.99, I think.
Yeah. So, and for basically a brand new game, which is what it was. That was so. If they remade Code Veronica, then I'd buy it. Yeah. But I'm not going to spend £12 on a PS2 port.
like you said, I think at the stage now is that Sony, they don't need to. They don't have to please these people who are asking for it because their sales are way ahead. So by not doing it, they're not going to lose anything from it.
No. Yeah.
You also, I mean, I don't know. I kind of, in some ways, I'm just like, I mean, it's a debate. You go through movies, you go through all this stuff, but it doesn't feel healthy as an industry to be continually looking back. Surely we should be looking ahead. We should be, you worry about how much resources are being drained on just remaking or repolishing the past, whereas could be used on new ideas. Like I find the fact that this kind of redone Crash is the top selling platform exclusive this year a bit depressing, especially when it sold more than Horizon Zero Dawn, which is beautiful, is complex, is like a pretty close approximation of kind of the peak of what we can do, and then people just want to play kind of a tossed up version of the thing they played 15 years ago. It doesn't feel good to me for gaming. So I don't know. Personally, I don't have a great deal of interest in it. Like, I enjoyed Crash years and years ago, but I don't really want to play it again. I feel like I've grown up as a gamer past that. There's a certain level of nostalgic thrill, but there's a million other things which I'm far more intrigued by, which are actually kind of pushing forward in different directions rather than just having my kind of take on it.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I think with Crash, the reason it's so popular, I think it just came around at sort of the right time. It's a few months after Christmas where a lot of people had finished playing their games and wanted to look for something new. And it's familiar, it looked great, and then obviously it attracted all new players. So it's sort of a bit of a perfect storm release for it.
It's definitely a game like you'll find like older gamers will get it, and also they'll play it with their kids as well.
Yeah.
It was obviously very clever bringing it out in the summer when there's naff all else coming out. So.
And I think the fact that Sony marked it down that much, I think that's, well, obviously it's worked well for them. So could that be a thing? Could we be starting to see big games coming down in price just to get their sales up?
I don't think you'll get big like new games come out of that. I think it's only like some of that you said it's that in between stage. It's not a brand new game, but it's not an old game. So I don't think you'll get like a brand new IP come out at like for £30.
Well, we can dream.
You never know.
Yeah. Is there any games you guys can think? I know, Alec, you just said you don't want to look back to the past, but if you could, is there any games you guys would like to see get the Crash treatment? So full, complete, built from the ground up remake.
I always have really niche answers for this. Like, I remember loving the Italian Job game on PS1.
I don't think I played that, no.
But, I don't know. It was just loads of fun. It was like it's probably the best mission-based driving game I've ever played. So there were like bits you could get out, but there were basically you played through the plot of the old film. So it was like trying to robbing gold in Italy by doing that traffic jam thing, and you're gonna have to do all these things kind of building up to it. And I think they didn't have the actual Michael Caine, but they got like they got a Michael Caine impersonator to sort of try and approximate it, which to my like 12-year-old ears sounded fine. Maybe it sounded terrible. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I have very fond memories of that, but no one else would buy it probably.
No, that's very much something just for you.
That's very much something just for me. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like in terms of mass market, I mean, nothing like massively comes to mind really. Just kind of weird little curios that I enjoyed. Like I was talking about. We were talking about like the PS1 Spider-Man. In some ways, it would like I love that game, and it would be cool to like go back and play it and kind of for it to high def and stuff. But I mean, like Spider-Man on PS4 is going to be like a completely so much richer experience that really would feel like a backward step. So I don't know. I don't. Yeah, personally, there's nothing that really massively comes to mind in that sort of area.
Apart from the Italian Job. But if that gets remade, you'll be a very happy man.
That gets remade. I'll be all over it, and hopefully they'll fine tune the notoriously difficult final mission where you had to drive minis into a lorry, and this thing was so bloody panicky that if you lined it up like a millimetre wrong, Oh god, I failed that mission so many times. I probably think it's about 2 people right now, but those 2 people will be very happy.
Who made it? Do you know?
No, I'll use the magic of the interweb.
Okay, you do that, and then Ian, any games you would like to see get the Crash treatment?
No, do you know, I was just looking at like top PS1 games and just going through the list and seeing is there anything on there that I'd like to see remakes. But everything on there, we've kind of got like reiterations or anyway. So you've got like Metal Gear Solid. I think I'd rather play the newer one than the first one again.
No.
Sucked. Final Fantasy games, I'm not a big fan, but there's been plenty of them. I don't think we need to remake the first one again.
No.
I know like 7's coming out eventually anyway, isn't it? That's been built up from the ground up.
I've lost track of Final Fantasy. I don't know what's what anymore.
No.
It's confusing.
I remember playing one on the PS2 that I quite liked, which I think is a HD re-release on the PS4. I think it's 12. But I don't know. There's so many of them, and they're strange, very, very, very strange series.
Apart from that, it's just like Resident Evil games, but they're always getting like HD remade and pushed up and everything else. And I don't think I think they've released it so many different times. I think if they now said we're bringing out number 1 again and built up from the ground, from the ground up, no one would buy it because they've like I paid this game about 6-7 times already. Why do I need another version?
Well, I think again, someone's probably going to tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the first Resident Evil was the first actual remake of a game, rebuilt of a game properly.
Oh right.
They came out for the GameCube, didn't they? They remade.
Oh yeah, of course it, yeah.
Remade the first one. And that's out on PS4 now.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because it's Resident Evil, so it's going to be good. So
yeah, I did look it up. It was made by Pixelogic, which is fair to say not a name as fast to do it for me. And it also, apart from by actual adults, it got about 7 out of 10. So clearly, it was just something about my childhood brain that loved the idea of the whole Italian job thing. But yeah, go back. We're going slightly later. I think it was PS2, and someone was talking about it on Twitter last week. Primal was still a really cool idea. I don't know if anyone else played that or has fond memories of that, but you were kind of this girl who could have different abilities and had a kind of gargoyle alongside her, and it was kind of this action-adventure thing. But I mean, when I think about something like that, I don't want them to remake that game. I want them to make a sequel. I want them to make something new with those characters, with those properties. I want, progression. I don't want to just replay the same thing, but I do think that was a cool idea with cool characters, and it was doing interesting things for its time. And again, I think it'd be worth revisiting some of the central concepts and central characters and doing something new with that. So I prefer going that route. I mean, there are franchises, there are kind of dormant franchises that I think deserve to be revived, but I don't just want to kind of play an upgraded photocopy of the past. I
think that's a great subject for a future show. Dormant franchises that need to be brought back to life. We're making a note of that.
I think the thing with Crash is like Sony never really had another game really like it. Like I was just looking for a list of like top games for that kind of generation, and all of them, we've all got like sequels, or there's other games like them now where Crash never really, it wasn't on the PS2, it wasn't on the PS3, so maybe that's why it's done so well.
Whoa! It was on the PS2.
Is it?
It was. Yes.
Okay, I'll take that statement back.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sort of Cornish police siren.
Whoa. I stand corrected, Dom.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna.
No, I just checked it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't very good, I think.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, in some ways, obviously, it was kind of different style in many ways, but I mean, Crash kind of evolved with Jak and Daxter in some ways. It was the same developers. It was, trying to progress the platform genre in a sort of meaningful way. I think that's why we never got more Crash sequels, because they kind of felt like, the audience was growing up slightly and they wanted to grow up a bit with them, but certainly the core gameplay of the first Jak, in many ways, it's kind of Crash transplanted in 3D, in some ways anyway. That'd be my take on it.
Yeah, I think Crash was sort of the godfather of the modern platformer, and then just quietly retired. And then the better ones came out. Like I love Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah,
those games are brilliant, especially the latest one for the PS4. That was very good.
I think it's really interesting if you look at how Naughty Dog went from Crash to Jak to Uncharted to, I guess, Last of Us. Arguably, you can kind of chart the maturation of the medium, and you can chart how games I feel like games kind of grew up as I was growing up, and I think that's a really interesting way to do it, just through the output of one company and how that changed to kind of reflect the tastes of kind of contemporary games.
I think there's a lot of people out there who don't realise that Naughty Dog made Crash and Uncharted, because they're so vastly different. Usually, unless they're big, massive companies like EA or Ubisoft that have various other sub-companies that make things for them, generally the quote smaller unquote companies will concentrate on one style of game. So I think a lot of people don't realise that Naughty Dog made both.
All three, if you like, yeah. Jack as well as a sort of stepping stone. But obviously, I mean, obviously there's a lot to Uncharted, but there is still a very strong platforming at its core. It's still about leaping from ledge to ledge. You're just hanging off them rather than landing on them neatly as you were in Crash, kind of thing. So
yeah.
It is a remove. It is not an obvious leap to make, but if you look for it, there's definitely the DNA, the kind of early Naughty Dog DNA, still embedded within this massive contemporary blockbuster.
Yeah, but now Crash just takes inspiration from software. So lovely. Crash Souls. Yeah. Right. That's all. I think that's about it. Ian. Here comes my pun, by the way, Ian.
Okay. I've been waiting for it all time. I've been waiting for it.
Right, okay. Alec, I believe you need to tell us something about something.
Are you referring to my new infatuation with Assassin's Creed Unity?
Yes. Yeah, that was my pun. Ian, marks out of 10?
I'll give you a 6.
Fuck you.
What was the
pun?
It's
the first episode. You can work fast. You can do better next time.
What was the pun? Was you need to tell us about something.
Oh God, I give that 4.
I was quite pleased I came out that last night. So, okay, yes, Alec, why don't you tell us about something you've been playing this week?
Okay, well, I think before I should kind of discuss. Basically, I should probably say at this point I haven't played Syndicate yet, because I knew if I leapt straight to Syndicate, probably going back to Unity would feel like a backward step, and I was really keen on playing Unity, but obviously I was put off by the rather unfinished state it was put out in, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
And now, kind of years later, I mean, the game's now 3 years old, and I finally got round to playing it. And I think it's really, really amazing. I mean, I'm a big fan of the kind of classic Assassin's Creed template. Like I don't know if I was the only person, but as much as I loved Black Flag, to me, in many ways, it didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game, because there wasn't like a big city to explore, and you weren't running around on rooftops, and you couldn't just sort of walk around and kind of inhale the feel of a city, which obviously I've been doing objectives in this beautiful 1700s French Revolution Paris, but at the same time there's a great thrill to kind of historical tourism. You walk around and the streets are thronged with people, they're filled with noise, they're kind of so much. I mean, graphically it holds up beautifully, like just in little things like the way the light glints off the roofs, or the way the sunlight falls, and the way you can sometimes spot your shadow kind of echoing your moves as you go along these rooftops. But their vision of French Revolution Paris feels alive and feels kind of on the edge of stuff. Little fights occur, and criminals will fight loyalists, and people will accuse people of not being revolutionary enough, and it kind of does feel like this powder keg waiting to explode continually. And then gameplay-wise, I feel like the addition of interiors has really changed it. Like, we all know the kind of really classic Assassin's Creed missions where you can theoretically you can do stealth, but you can also very easily just walk in and kill everyone. And I feel like that's very much lessened in Unity. I feel like, often I felt like I was almost playing a sort of Hitman Light. It doesn't have quite, it doesn't have the same. You can usually just about get out of trouble if you do muck up the stealth, but it's a much more viable, and there's a lot of standing at doorways and peeking around corridors and hiding behind objects and actually kind of taking people out stealthily. And doing that interior makes it feel very different. And I get the complaints about Arno. I get why people thought he was a bit dull, and he certainly doesn't have the kind of flashbulb charisma of an Ezio or of an Edward Kenway from Black Flag. But I do think he's an interesting character, and I do think so far at least, the story plays out in quite interesting ways, and the cutscenes are really, really good. Like the facial animation and the kind of shaders and lighting used in those cutscenes, it really does feel kind of authentically cinematic. And basically, it's got a really high level of polish throughout, but that really comes through in the cutscenes. And then at the end of the day, you get to do what I always love doing in Assassin's Creed, which is the free running. And again, that's evolved, that's polished. Getting down is far more fun than it ever used to be, because now you hold R2 and circle and he gets down dynamically, whereas it used to be you kind of just either you did a graceful leap or you kind of inched your way down slowly, like you've sort of lost your nerve all of a sudden. Whereas now the whole thing feels like a beautiful dynamic process. Hold R2 to run, hold X to go up, hold circle to go down. It's more complex, it's more stylish, and yeah, it just, there's a really nice feel to just kind of running around rooftops. And I spend so much time just like discovering little trinkets to collect or lock-picking chests, and there's a really nice final point. There's a really nice balance to it in terms of how much currency you get and what you're able to get with that, and the point where things actually feel meaningful. Like, I think it's the first time it's got a proper skill tree. So, for example, you have to unlock the ability to do double assassination, so it actually feels like something you've achieved as you progress through. And then I got a bit further, and then I was able to unlock double assassinations, and I'm increasing my lock-picking skills, which is allowing, opening up different areas and allowing me to do new chests and that sort of stuff. And then the actual currency within the game, it kind of just feels about right that you can refill your ammo and you can get better weapons and stuff, but it feels like something you have to actually work towards rather than everything just being set out for you. And you're kind of rewarded if you go to the effort of exploring and looting chests and looting bodies and all that sort of stuff. So they would, I think those would be the main reasons that I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, it's got a really nice feel. And basically, I think the furore over how it initially came out, which is completely understandable, but I do think it's covered up what is, in fact, an extremely good game, and one that I think a lot of people should check out and should give a second chance to.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Ian hates Assassin's Creed.
Hang on, I was about to say, the whole time, Dom, I was waiting for you to butt in, because on our previous podcast we've done, Dom was renowned for criticising Assassin's Creed every chance he got.
No, I wasn't. What are you on about?
There's evidence. It's on the internet.
That's not. I deleted it. So, no, I will come clean. I do not like Assassin's Creed at all, apart from Black Flag, because the reason you said, Alec, because it's not an Assassin's Creed game. I just found them boring, because I just thought it was run around, find target, kill, repeat.
It undeniably is, but I would argue that every game has some sort of cool gameplay loop, and obviously some you're going to find engaging and interesting, but
yeah.
I mean, like the cool gameplay loop of first-person shooters, I kind of find completely boring, but I feel like, I don't know, that's kind of much more accepted, whereas Assassin's Creed always gets slammed for its kind of routine gameplay, whereas I feel like that, I mean, in some ways it's a valid criticism, but at the same time there is a reason that this series keeps going and has, big sales and huge amounts of fans, and I feel like that's quite often not reflected in some of the criticism it gets.
I think the trouble with Assassin's Creed is, like you said, like every game has that gameplay loop, and like you'll find that a lot. But I think the trouble with Assassin's Creed is because it's the same title every year. I mean, I know they're taking a year off last year, but because it's that same franchise and it's got that same name, it's hard to differentiate from other games. Where, I mean, you can say the same thing about Call of Duty, I suppose, but I suppose each one is slightly more different than the last one. Where I think Assassin's Creed got that routine of just being quite samey, apart from Black Flag.
I mean, it depends. Yeah, I mean, it depends how much importance you attach to different characters, different settings, different historical periods. Even if you have got the same gameplay that's sort of polished a bit, the kind of surroundings of that change completely every year. Which, I mean, to me feels like, I don't know, that makes it feel different. I think I always get very invested in Assassin's Creed settings, perhaps more than other people. I don't know, but to me that's what makes them feel kind of significantly different. Like, to me, because, I mean, obviously we'll discount Black Flag, but even if you compare 3 and Unity, 3 is mostly in more rural settings, mostly in the countryside. It's got completely different characters, and it ties into a different history. It ties into the American Revolution, whereas obviously this ties into the French Revolution. It's more urban. It's more bloody in lots of ways. It's kind of more, I don't know, expressive. So to me, each one has felt significantly different. But obviously, I'm very much speaking as a fan of the series, and there are certainly other series which I don't engage with at all that I do feel like, well, that's just more or less the same. So it's kind of difficult to be impartial about that, I guess.
I think maybe if you're not invested in that kind of world in the first place, it's hard to go on to the next game, because it's not saying that, because they do have kind of similar storylines. Obviously, they are different, but if you're not invested in the first place, what's going to make it different for you the second time?
But it's true about where it's set as well, the world is set in, because I don't really care about sort of Renaissance Italy or the French Revolution or London in the Victorian times. What I do care about, though, is ancient Egypt. So I am looking forward to Origins.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played one since 3, so I feel like I've had enough years off that I'm willing to give Assassin's Creed another go now.
Especially because they've taken the time out to build the game engine from scratch again, make it feel a bit more fresh, and hopefully work out some of those notorious horrible controls that plagued all the other games. Yes. So, how long do you reckon you got left of Unity, Alec, before you move on to Syndicate?
Well, I'm definitely going to finish the story. I don't quite know. I think it told me that overall I'm 19% done. So.
Oh, okay. Bit of a way to go.
That's probably partly because I get very distracted by other things.
Yeah.
I don't know, like because you never quite know. If you kind of want a quick play session, then you end up just kind of running around the city, like collecting stuff and fighting random people. So I have to make sure I have kind of a decent amount of time set aside if I'm going to do an actual mission, because I like approaching it in quite a patient way. So each mission tends to take sort of at least half an hour. Yeah,
that's fair enough. Right. I've not been really playing much, but just bit of Elite Dangerous, really, because it was on sale on Steam, thankfully. And I bought myself a HOTAS stick, so I can fly around space now properly.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, have you played Elite Dangerous, Ian?
No, I always get tempted by it, because it's just been released on the PS4 now, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
And I keep looking at it and I think, will I play this? And I just don't know if I will.
Imagine No Man's Sky, but good. That is pretty much Elite Dangerous. It's one of those games where I think it's perfect for everyone.
We're
really.
not going to get in a No Man's Sky debate. I'm just going to say
No. There's no debate. It was shit. I think Elite Dangerous is a game for everyone, because you can play it for hours on end, or you could pick up for half hour, do the odd mission, and then put it down again.
I'm always tempted to do it. I think maybe one day I will just go in and just get it.
Yeah, I know you can't because your PC's a pile of shit.
Yeah.
But the definitive way to play it is on PC with a stick.
Yeah,
but
most games are.
But you could buy sticks for the PlayStation, can't you? Actually, saying that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do that.
One day.
But it is cool. My little advice is don't fly into a star, because you will die.
Thanks for that. Yeah, that Dom's top tip.
That is Dom's top tip for the week. Do not fly directly into stars.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. There you go. And we're ending on that rather depressing note. So, in terms of what can you look out for content-wise on the site this week? Well, we've got some highlights for you. Ian, do you want to take us through your debut article?
So I've just done one on Rocket League, because they've just done their 2-year anniversary this month. So I've just done a little look back at the history of it and the success of it and what's made it such a popular franchise. Well, popular game, sorry.
I have to say, I've not really had much interest in playing it before, but after reading that, I consider it picking it up.
I've been obsessed with games. I mean, when it first came out on PlayStation, it was part of the PlayStation 3 games for July. And it's one of those games I've always gone back and forth to. It's just a quick pick up and play game, 5-minute match. Alright, I'll have a few more. But I've started playing in competitive mode now, and I'm getting addicted to it. I must play at least 3-4 games a day now.
Yeah.
It's so easy just to pick up, have a few games, and it's... You know, there are times where you think, I don't want to play a game for long, I just want to play a quick half-an-hour session, and I'll play there for 3 hours, and I'm like, crap, how did it get turned into this?
Usually that's FIFA for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah.
I think the difference I find with FIFA and Rocket League is, because obviously, unless you play 3v3, you can just play 1v1, So if when you play FIFA, when you sometimes you mess up on a game, it's not always you. It's because of the AI players or it didn't go properly. On Rocket League, if you mess up, it's down to you because you just fucked up.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So I'm quite tempted to download it, but I will wait till it's on sale because I'm a cheap bastard.
I played it a bit because I have got it, from PlayStation Plus, but I can certainly appreciate its qualities, but I found it a bit confusing, and like I'd end up not knowing which way I was facing, and after like driving on the wall or driving on the ceiling or whatever.
Yeah, there is a bit of learning towards it because you choose to have the camera fixed on the football, which does help you because you can see more, but then it makes it harder to line up shots and fly in the air. Or you have the camera loose, but then you've got to obviously control where you're going and then try and find where the ball was as well. So there is a bit of a learning curve to it.
I tried both and didn't sort of get to grips with either.
Yeah.
But I think for me personally, I think it's just one of those cases of kind of too many games. I can certainly imagine presumably you're playing online. I mean, it's kind of be an online game because I think there's very limited satisfaction to be had from being AI in it, just because there's not much kind of bells and whistles around that. But I can imagine it working as a competitive multiplayer game, which is clearly how people play it. But yeah, personally, it was just not something I ever really got into. Perhaps because of my FIFA obsession. Who knows?
I'll tell you what though, the awkward controls would probably drive me mad.
That was better.
Was that better?
It was better, but it wasn't brilliant.
Well, I'm here every week, people, so they're only going to get better.
Brilliant. So it's the first episode, and you're scaring off everyone in the first episode. Thanks, Dom.
That's all right. That's what I'm here for. That's the comedy I provide. So, so other things on the site you can look out for. We've got our regular retro respawn, where Mike discusses why he is not looking forward to the mini SNES. We've got Chris, our board games reviewer. He's reviewed Century Spice Road, and he enjoyed that. My weekly feature, Respawn Reflection, I list my FIFA 18 career mode wish list. And Will has reviewed Antihero, and he likes that very much. And speaking of Will, you can head over to our YouTube channel, Gaming Respawn UK, where you can find his Dark Souls Let's Play. So good for him. He started Dark Souls. Well, he's played it before, but now he's showing you him playing it. So lovely. So I think that's going to be about it. I think. Any closing thoughts, guys?
I mean, I've recently just bought Hitman, so hopefully I'll be playing that next week. So next week I'll have a bit more info on that.
There's your homework, Ian. Play Hitman.
That is it.
Don't play Rocket League for 6 hours a day.
I'll try not to.
Play some Hitman.
I'll try.
And okay, so I think we're going to call it a night there. So now, Ian, we need to improve on the goodbyes, because that was always notoriously bad the last time we done this.
I mean, I don't know what you expect, really.
I'm expecting a fucking good one, that's what I'm expecting. As are the people on the internet who will be listening to this. So it is goodbye from Ian.
Goodbye.
That's better. Goodbye from Alec.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thank you for listening. Oh, no. One thing I probably should do is mention the... Fuck.
It was all going so well.
One thing I should mention is where you can find Gaming Respawn.
That probably would help.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so you can find us at gamingrespawn.com, Gaming Respawn Facebook, or Gaming Respawn UK on the old Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, Ian, where can the beautiful people of the internet find you on Twitter?
No, they can't.
They can't?
I don't use Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Maybe you should.
Maybe
Next week, Ian will have Twitter for everyone.
Okay, I'll have Twitter by next week.
Okay. Alec, where can they find you on Twitter?
I am Alec Hawley1. Hawley is HAWLEY.
There we go. And I'm at DomUndead87, all one word. Now we can say goodbye.
87th incarnation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now I can say goodbye because I've actually promoted the site, which is a big reason for this podcast. So, goodbye from me. Finally, goodbye.
What's wrong? Snake!